Hello, everybody. Tyrone the God 3 here. And Natalie.
Hi.
All right, so it's finally time. After the Battle City stuff, we are about to move on to the next arc. But before that, obviously, there was a movie that took place in between those two things. So we're going to be talking today about the movie itself, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! The Pyramid of Light.
Yes.
All right. So let me. I'm gonna start this one a little bit differently because this movie did come out in theaters, I believe. Was it out in theaters when you were?
Yeah, because I saw it like 3 times as a kid.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it did come out in theaters, and I was just about to ask, what was your theater experience with it?
It was really fun when I was little, because, like a kid in my grade, he liked Yu-Gi-Oh! Too, so my mom took, both of us to go. Bless her heart, in hindsight, that she sat through this 3 times. But
killed it.
yeah.
Thanks, I hate it.
It was fun, because, I don't really remember who else was in the theater when I was a kid, but just being able to see Yu-Gi-Oh! On the big screen was awesome.
Yeah, I thought this was really cool when it came out. They had, a lot of cool trailers. I remember they kept playing that one song, Step Up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were playing that for the trailer, and it was just crazy. And then also you would get some exclusive cards for going to go watch the movie. Yeah, and I thought that was really cool, too. I believe the cards include the Pyramid of Light trap card itself. It also included Andro Sphinx, Sphinx Talea. Then I think it was Thethan the Great Sphinx, which is basically a combination of them both. And then I believe Blue Eye Shining Dragon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I definitely remember Shining Dragon and Pyramid of Light.
Yeah.
Were the ones I had.
Because those were the 2 things I think that were reflected upon in the movie. So, yeah, in my theater experience, I believe my mom just took me and my stepbrother over to watch it. And then I also believe it was weird. The movie went from, theater to DVD so quickly. Even to this day, I still think it was kind of fast. Was that the same for you, or am I just seeing things?
Yeah, I don't remember seeing the DVD. I just remember seeing the theater version. So I don't know.
Well, I got the DVD because it was in they were selling it at a Walmart, I believe I was near. Yeah, they were selling it there. And when I bought it, I believe it came with the card too.
Oh, yeah.
Which was dumb, though, because it came with Pyramid of Light. And I'm like, I already got this. I think the difference was that it was a holographic one, though.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was like, thanks, but whatever.
Yeah. It's that kind of reminds me of, I think I saw the first Pokemon movie in theaters, too, and you got, the Ancient Mew card.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah, so.
You get the Ancient Mew card, and I believe you also get, I think they were also giving away other stuff, like a coin and some stuff. That was during the hype time of Pokemon, so they kept giving out a bunch of things. Burger King was giving out an obscene amount of toys. Because normally
I won one of those jackpots when I was little. The only thing I've won in my life was a bunch of Pokemon toys from Burger King.
Yeah, and then I hated that we had the Pokeballs for a while, and then if some kid freaking decides to choke on one, and I'm like, damn it, kid. Now they stopped selling the Pokeballs. Now they just awkwardly come in these bags. But we're getting off topic. I think the point of what we're trying to draw to is that this was during still during the range of anime hype, where anime movies were still very in wide regard. So they were placed in theaters a lot, and they were advertised a lot on TVs, on commercials. So this was Yu-Gi-Oh! Just barely made it into the and to the end of I want to say a 90s anime era.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I'll talk about that later on with the treatment of anime movies, or at least nowadays. But moving on, we actually have the movie itself. The movie is revolved mostly around the Millennium Puzzle's, I guess you could say, alternate counterpart, which is the Pyramid of Light. And I believe it begins with these archaeologists. They're digging, and they find Anubis's tomb. And it's got the Pyramid of Light in it, as well as a scripture. Yeah. The problem is, once they find it, they end up getting caved in by the by the avalanche that happens inside the tombs. While this is happening, I believe little Yugi is solving the Millennium Puzzle. So obviously these events take place during the beginning. And like when Krivo tries to attack Yugi.
Yeah, that's right.
So
scary little Krivo.
So stupid. But outside of that, I believe the only other thing that like of importance happens, we just cut forward after that. Gives us a montage of what happened. You know, Yugi's been killing in Duelist Kingdom, and then he became King of Games again in Battle City. And at this point, everybody's just showing off the fact that Yugi's just sort of like the boss. Mai makes a brief cameo.
Yeah, one frame.
Yeah, like one frame. She just looks out to the distance. Like, thanks, Mai. You could have been useful here, but I guess yeah. And then after that, I believe what happens is Kaiba's running simulations on how to beat Yugi. So he's busting out his Yu-Gi-Oh Pro, Yu-Gi-Oh Dev Pro. And he makes a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon with the power of like 9,000 because of Megamorph, but he loses because Yugi literally has all 3 God cards, which in normal standards would be impossible to like bring out all 3 in a normal game. I mean, it's possible, but it's absurd. You wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that ends up happening is like Kaiba's getting frustrated that he can't beat Yugi no matter how many simulations he runs. So I think the only other option he has is to turn to Pegasus, right? Since he made the card game. So
give me a better card.
Right? Yeah, pretty much. I need a card to beat all those other cards. But and it leads to the most absurd scene I think in the movie is like when he gets in his Blue Eyes White jet and they play that
yes, the You're Not Me.
Yeah,
it's like so edgy.
Say if I were you.
Say if I. Oh, it's such a good song.
Oh, it's so annoyingly catchy though. I love it. Like, so
that is peak early 2000s culture right there.
Pretty much, yeah. So at that point though, I believe Pegasus, Kaiba makes it to Pegasus's estate, and when he makes it to the estate, he basically questions Pegasus on how to, is there a card that he made, and Pegasus is like, yeah, I made a card. And while that time, I believe there's also an ancient spirit that slips another card in. So the only way to get this card is for Kaiba to duel Pegasus, which, okay, Kaiba's gotten better since then, so he should fare a decent chance against Pegasus. And the two basically duel, and Kaiba wins. I think this duel only really exists to show off to more Toon monsters, by the way. Yeah. Like Toon Dark Magician Girls in there. Like, okay.
Right.
What did you think of this duel?
I mean, I thought it was funny just because the humor of it, like Pegasus and Kaiba going back and forth. It's just a funny movie to me.
He just keeps poking at the fact that he lost to Yugi so many times.
Yeah, and then Kaiba says like "that's all, folks" or something when he beats him. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is like so bad. So I mean, it's the duel itself. I don't really remember, but the whole movie's a trip. So
yeah, I think, like I said, well, this was just more of an excuse to summon more Toon monsters, because I believe Toon Gemini shows up.
Yeah.
Toon Dark Magician Girl, just to sell
Toon
more.
And Blue Eyes too, I think.
Well, Toon Blue Eyes, I believe, made his appearance in Duelist Kingdom.
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah, so it's just to show off more Toons. And I'm gonna go a little off track here. I know the Abridged series just made a joke that I thought was very noteworthy. He goes, you made a kid version of like the most fan drawn anime waifu girl ever. You're a twisted man, Pegasus. But outside of that, I think Kaiba wins the duel. So it does show a level of growth that Kaiba's gone through, though. Slightly. I mean, Pegasus doesn't have his Millennium Eye either, so he's not nearly as a threat as he was back then. But it does show, I guess they did that to show off, hey, Kaiba's gotten so much better since his last time dealing with Pegasus. He's more confident in his abilities. Yeah, but at this point, I believe Kaiba discovers that there's 2 cards that Pegasus has, and Pegasus is confused because he's like, I only had the one. So I'm not sure how in the world you have a card that can combat the Egyptian god cards if I only have one. So after that, though, I believe that Yugi and the others come out of school, and when they come out of school, everybody's trying to get at Yugi for, being the champion. He's the king of games, so they all want to basically duel him. And while that's happening, Joey and Tristan sort of hold off the students while Taya sneaks Yugi into the museum. And here's where we get, I guess, the Joey scenes.
Yeah.
Real briefly, because not much in detail happens, but what do you think of this?
Well, does Joey win? Like, he wins some of these duels, right?
They're undecided.
Then, okay, yeah, because I remember, like, the crowd ends up going past them anyway. So, I mean, I guess it's pretty much more for comedy, because I remember he, like, gets stabbed in the butt.
Yeah, by
like, the giant needle.
Yeah, the injection fairy Lily stabs Joey. I'm like, these are holograms, guys. What happens is he duels one person. They go to the next scene. He duels another person, and he beats the other kid by finishing him off by using Guilford the Lightning and defeating the boy. So I guess it's just to show off that he was dueling a lot of people at once.
Okay.
But during that time, Yugi and Taya escaped to the museum, where conveniently there was already a plot going on there, because Solomon Moto, Yugi's grandpa, is there because he looked at the news earlier that day, saw in the newspaper, hey, they're doing a thing where archaeologists found the tomb of Anubis. So they went to go check it out at the museum, and Yugi and Taya just happened to show up. It's just sort of convenient.
Yeah.
If anything needs to get solved in Yu-Gi-Oh, they just go to the museum. Right. So at this point, it's not really necessarily a duel, but Yugi gets some spoilers for the movie that he's in. He foresees the Pyramid of Light and everything that goes down, and by the time he wakes up, it's like dark now, and the Pyramid of Light's been stolen.
Yeah.
And,
like the mummy's gone.
Yeah. So what did you think of that Return of the Mummy scene?
I guess like it's kind of interesting because Yugi's vision or whatever, and you're like, this looks kind of intense. Like, I am intrigued.
Yeah.
It also, like how you said, the convenience of it also makes me kind of laugh, because it's like these poor people. It's always like archaeologists are fucking around and like, let's bring this exhibit to right in Yugi's town. It's like,
right.
It's always the same thing. But yeah, it does make me interested to see the rest of the movie once that part kicks in.
Yeah, it does thicken the plot quite a bit.
Yeah.
I believe what happens afterwards, though, is that once Yugi leaves the museum, he just sort of leaves, by the way. He leaves.
Oh, wait, I want to mention that.
Go ahead.
Because, like, the police come in, and they're like, oh, what happened to the mummy? And they're just, and they just kind of let Grandpa and Taya and Yugi go. And I'm like, they're the only people in the whole museum. Like, I would put them in jail suspecting that they did something.
From a perspective point, Yugi and Grandpa and Taya should have at least been put into question. But no, they just scam over it. Yeah. Like, okay.
Have a nice night, guys.
Right. Let us know if you find anything suspicious.
Right.
But when Yugi leaves, Mokuba shows up in a limousine, and I gotta be honest, this scene does not age well at all to me, only because, like, it knocks out the seriousness of the situation. Mokuba shows up and is like, my big brother wants to see you. To challenge you to a card game. Like, are you serious? We just got knocked out in a museum at night, and it just got robbed, and your brother wants to challenge me to a fucking game? Are you serious right now? So Yogi goes to the limousine and heads to the game.
Oh my god.
Because obviously, right?
Yeah.
So he goes in, and I think Joey and Tristan spot Yugi at some point, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
they end up like coming in during their duel, I think.
Yeah. But Yugi shows up at the arena, and Kaiba's again being grandiose as hell. Has these holograms show up every time he's walking, and
right.
It's just this big, really huge build-up. What did you think of that?
I thought it was so random. And I'm like, and also considering if you watch this movie, you know, in where it is in like canon or whatever, I'm like, you figure they just dueled on like Friday and this is like Monday. I'm like, we really have to do this? Like Battle City just ended and Kaiba's already back at it again.
Right.
It's so funny. But no, I thought that was weird with them walking in and their monsters popping up, because it's like, I mean, the rest of the duel's not that heavy on like technology like that, so I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah. I was just like, Kaiba, you're not gonna blow this place up like you did Battle City when you lose, do you?
I don't know.
Yeah, but so Kaiba's just talking shit. He's like, this time I've added 2 new cards to my deck. Get ready to lose, Yugi. The odds of me drawing those cards are like 2 out of 40, but fuck it.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I put my faith in these 2 cards that I added to my deck. Like, how embarrassing would it have been if Kaiba never drew those cards?
That would be so good.
But so at this point though, Yugi's just like, chill out, Kaiba. We don't need to be doing this. There's bigger things at stake right now. And Kaiba's like, the only thing at stake is the fucking title. And this about the damn title
that you've lost like 3 times.
Right.
At this point.
So they begin the duel. And visually, I think this is a really good looking duel, though. I'm not gonna lie. Like the graphics look good, the animation, the cards are in full description of detail this time now instead of just showing their attack and defense. I think that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the presentation of the duel?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good, which I'm glad it's better than the show because, you know, this is a movie, so it has a bigger budget.
So it's got to act like a movie, damn it.
Right, it kind of does. Like, they're a little, the monsters aren't censored as much, too, and it's, like, a bit more violent, so it's kind of nice to watch. Yeah,
we get some new cards, Petting the Dark Clown, we get Magician Valkyrie, just some new peeps, and I like that. I know during that duel, obviously, Kaiba plays a card that in any other situation, this would be stupid. He plays a card that makes it so once Yugi summons, like, Slifer the Sky Dragon, Kaiba plays a card to make it so that the rest of the Egyptian god cards are forced to come out. And I'm like, in what world do you believe this would have been a smart idea, other than the one where you conveniently got this card? So obviously he gets it, and when he gets it, he uses the Pyramid of Light, which, for some odd reason, because the Pyramid of Light's actual ability allows you to special summon Andro Sphinx or Sphinx to lay on the field. And in addition, I believe it also does something else. I can't remember what else it does. But in the movie, it just says, destroy all god cards.
It's that simple.
And I'm like, wow. Because I know Pegasus didn't put that card in there. Obviously, he puts the other card in. This card was added to the deck to start up the whole can of worms. It's like the Pandora box of cards. But if he did make that card, it would be so easy for someone to just write down, destroy all god cards.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Cut that shit out. But yeah, so what this does is that not only does it stop the Egyptian god card from showing up, Yugi and Kaiba are trapped in this giant like pyramid of light. They're trapped here, and much like a shadow game, there's stakes in this duel now. Every time they lose life points, they get hurt, like physically hurt.
Yeah.
And Joey and Tristan do catch up, by the way, to the duel really fast. I want to comment. Like Yugi was in a limousine.
They're just gunning it.
Right.
Just run.
So, when the pyramid does come out, though, Yugi is more reluctant to stop the duel while Kaiba's just like, quit being a bitch. And continues the duel. But it's clear here that there's other works at play. Kaiba's moves are starting to look less like his moves and starting to look more like the villain's moves, which we haven't revealed yet. And Yugi's still fighting, though. What did you think of Kaiba's slow descent during the duel?
I thought it was pretty good. Like, it's interesting because Kaiba, I mean, he's still, the whole time, he's like, I don't believe in any of this mumbo-jumbo magic stuff. But, like, for him to directly experience it is an interesting twist because he keeps denying it through, like, the entire duel.
Yeah.
But also, like, because there's, as the duel goes on, there's like different subplots and stuff. It's kind of broken up for me. Yeah. So I get a little confused.
I was just about to get in that. So when the Pyramid of Light is activated, little Yugi immediately gets retracted into the Millennium Puzzle. Mm-hmm. And Tristan and Joey end up getting sucked into. Basically, it's just sucking the souls of anything around for power, I guess. Yeah. And then we get the misadventures of little Yugi and the gang, where little Yugi, Joey, and Tristan are just sort of walking around Yugi's Millennium Puzzle fighting off against mummies and things like that. And while they're fighting off against these mummies, Taya and Grandpa show up, and Taya basically just adds her spirit to the Millennium Puzzle to take care of the situation with them. And I love, like, the Chun-Li spin kick she does on her way down.
Yeah! Just kicking the heads off of mummies.
Spinning upon a kick. But yeah, it's just a lot of fight scenes. And since they're mummies, they can afford to like be unnaturally violent.
Right.
So it is pretty cool to just see that happen. And little Yugi obviously is the one to figure out the weakness of the main villain, which I guess we can reveal now is Anubis.
Anubis,
the Egyptian Lord of the Dead. And so the Egyptian Lord of the Dead himself is the one controlling Kaiba the entire time. And if we look outside the duel, at this point I believe Anubis is just sort of done with Kaiba, right?
Yeah, towards the end he doesn't need him anymore.
Just takes his head and yeets him across.
Get out of here.
You're a good tool. And at this point, I believe Yugi's hanging on by a thread. He's using like water palm and shit.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. So when we come back to the inside of the puzzle, though, little Yugi figures out what he has to do is that he has to take a dagger and throw it at the eye so the eye can break. And in retrospect, the scene looks very stupid. Yeah. But what's your opinions on this? He throws the thing and it breaks. What do you think about that?
I don't know. Like, I don't have thoughts because this just makes me laugh. Like,
instead of the dagger's edge or the dagger's point hitting the eye, it's the hilt of the dagger.
It's so funny.
Yeah, the back part. And it breaks the damn... I'm just like, no, that's stupid.
Yeah, because, they make that big... Like, I would think it's a joke. Like, they build it up like, oh, Yugi's gonna throw it, and he aims, and dink! It, like, falls. It doesn't even hit the way he wanted, but it still works. Yeah, that would have been much greater, but...
And they break it anyway, so it's like, does it really matter what he could have done?
Yeah.
That kind of deletes the whole like seriousness of the moment when something like that is allowed to pass.
And wasn't the knife like in the coffin or whatever?
It was. It was in the sarcophagus.
Yeah. So I'm like, why was it right under where you need to throw it?
Anubis, why do you have your weakness right here?
Really?
We need to talk. No, this is stupid. I mean, Anubis being there is kind of stupid too. Did you really get why he shows up? Like, why is he here?
No, that was my like big complaint watching the movie because I was watching it with friends and we literally were timing like for when Anubis makes his physical appearance.
Yes,
is like in the last like 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, the movie's almost over. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, I literally don't care anymore. Like it's too late.
I'm like, well, what are you here for? What do you?
Yeah.
What his plan is to
do evil.
Kill the pharaoh.
Question
I
mark?
I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, yeah, just because he's Anubis, that doesn't give us enough clues. Like, yeah, Anubis is a very famous Egyptian god. We like a very known person in Egypt, but that doesn't justify his appearance to me.
Right.
It just, I don't
Yeah.
know. That I feel like that doesn't justify why he's here. I guess he wanted to destroy the pharaoh, but it's like, what do you get out of that?
Right.
Did,
And that's, I mean, I'd argue, like, because the movie focuses so much on, like, Kaiba versus Yugi,
right.
that it's, like, hard. I'm like, oh, yeah, there is a villain. Like, I forgot.
Right, because when you really, and I'll talk about this towards the end, but when you really break things down, though, it's just like, I'm not sure what Anubis, looking back at this movie, I'm not really sure what Anubis wanted to do. I mean, yeah, he could destroy the pharaoh. Who doesn't want to destroy the pharaoh if you're a villain? But what's your plans after that? First of all, you're in a time era that isn't even yours anymore. So you can't rule over it. I mean, you can if you want to, but then what? Like, I don't, like, they never touch on the fact, did the pharaoh banish him or something during Egypt?
I don't know. Because, like, apparently, I thought that the way the story said, like, this is even, like, before, I don't, like, before Yugi was around? Like, Anubis is older than Yugi? Like, the pharaoh? And so I'm like, I don't, I don't understand the timeline.
Yeah, I don't either. It's not giving us full...
No.
Okay, apparently, so the pharaoh, and I'm just looking at the notes at this point, the pharaoh destroyed Anubis 5,000 years ago, but why? Like,
But wow.
because he's the Egyptian lord of the dead, so he's supposed, like, death is necessary. Stop death, damn it.
No one dies anymore.
The minute Yugi played Monster Reborn is when he fucked Anubis' day up. But no, so Yugi duels Anubis in his physical form, which Anubis only uses two flipping cards. He uses Andro Sphinx and Sphinx Talea. And he kind of fuses them. He sacrifices them in order to summon Thethan the Great Sphinx. Yugi, thankfully, is able to get rid of the Pyramid of Light using Blue Eyes Shining Dragon. Because Kaiba's whole plan in the duel was to use Blue Eyes Shining Dragon to destroy the Pyramid of Light so that he could take Yugi's Egyptian God cards and use them against him. I don't know. I guess he had an ego trip. But thankfully, because he had that ego trip, Yugi had the tools necessary to destroy Thethan the Great Sphinx by using all the Egyptian God cards to create Infinity. Because why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning of the movie, Kaiba's monster, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, tries to attack Infinity, and it's just like, really? Do you know what you're getting into?
Oh.
Okay, yeah, but other than so Anubis basically loses the duel. What did you think of that? I guess you can call it a duel.
I mean, it was underwhelming for me because, like I said, the back and forth between the subplot and then Kaiba's your villain. No, wait, the villain's here. It's just like, and then it just ends. So like, I'm just very muddled. Is my thought.
Yeah. I like his design. I think he's a very cool designed character. He's got no motor, but he's a great designed character. He definitely looks like a boss type of character that Yugi would deal with, but
yeah,
that's about it.
He stole Mai's hairstyle.
Right. Pretty, yeah. It was Mai the whole damn time.
It was Mai.
Mai's ancestors. The Egyptian Lord of the Dead, yeah. So yeah,
Twist.
I would say that's an exclusive theory that you get straight from this video. You're welcome.
There you go.
But no, like, to me, this duel, it was like that. For lack of a better word, duel. I mean, I like the fact that Yugi was so close to losing, but they always do that. They do that to, increase tension. But it is cool to see that, despite all of it, Yugi was able to pretty much fend off Anubis. But Anubis gets mad, and rather than taking his loss like someone who just lost, he decides to turn into a giant tar monster.
Right?
And it's just
Sure.
like, fuck it, I'll kill the pharaoh without the card game. And I'm like, why didn't you just do that from the... Okay. Oh, Pegasus shows up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pegasus is there now. Well, he's been there, actually. I think he helped Taya get there because Taya was climbing up the helicopter. But, yeah, now that Kaiba woke up from his whole coma, and they're like, how do we beat it? And they're just like, duel it. And I'm like, what?
Duel it.
So Kaiba gets the blue-eyed shining dragon and gives it to Yugi. And I'm like, why? I mean, yeah, it's so Yugi could have the main character final moment, but
Yeah.
looking at it through retrospective, could anybody have done this?
Who knows?
Yeah, at this point, it's the end of the movie. The movie stopped caring at this point.
Yeah.
So Yugi uses
Yeah,
blue...
they even, like, with how you said he turns into a tar monster, it's like, no, the monsters are real. Like, why?
But why are they real now?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
So...
whatever.
So Yugi uses Blue-Eye Shining Dragon, and Blue-Eye Shining Dragon uses Shining Nova Strike, wipes out the tar monster, and the Pyramid of Light gets... Is it destroyed?
I think so.
I think it's destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably destroyed.
Because it's evil.
Because it's evil. And, yeah, and it's just... that takes care of that. Yay, hooray, but at what cost?
Yeah.
The movie just sort of ends after that, too, by the way.
That's it.
Yeah, is there anything else that happens outside of that?
Oh, I mean, does the movie summary even have anything? No.
No, I think that's it.
It says Kaiba leaves with Mokuba. He says he's gonna beat Yugi next time, and then they have friendship, and that's it.
Yep, that's just it. That's the end of the movie, and it's just like, oh, what just happened? Oh, and Kaiba never uses Blue-Eye Shining Dragon ever again, by the way.
Right.
I just want to point that out. It's like you would think you would use that. So the movie basically ends at that point. What do you think?
The movie as a whole.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable if you're like if you enjoy making fun of Yu-Gi-Oh, I think it's fun. Because there's a lot to nitpick and complain about, and it's like it's cool that we got a movie, like an in theaters Yu-Gi-Oh movie back then. But yeah, it definitely is not exactly the highest quality or the most comprehensive plot that we have. Yeah. What do you think?
Oh boy, so this movie, you know what? I'm out of all the plot holes that we poked in it, I'm not annoyed by it though. Visually, it's good. I think one of the reasons why is because Yu-Gi-Oh's a very silly ass anime when you stop to think about it anyway. Like the concept is all over the place. And I think Yu-Gi-Oh's the only anime I feel that can get away with this.
Yeah.
So the movie obviously has to take that silly route too, where everything has to be settled via a card game. Because how else are you gonna solve it, right? And so I feel like this was the only route they could go at the time. There's another movie that I feel does better, but for now, this movie, it was entertaining for the time that I watched it as a kid. As of now, I raise questions, but it's still an enjoyable time. I'm not gonna label it as this movie was complete and utter garbage. Essentially, this movie was just one giant duel.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's two duels that happen. There's a couple of duels that happen on the sidelines prior to the big duel that happens. But essentially, it's just Yugi versus Kaiba again. Only this time around, there's an Egyptian lord pulling some strings
this time
behind
it's
it.
Serious.
Yeah, this time it's serious, right? Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just, I kind of wish that Kaiba wasn't the opponent. Only because this is so close to Duelist Kingdom.
Right.
I mean, not Duelist Kingdom, Battle City. I'm sorry.
City,
yeah. It's so close to Battle City. So, and Kaiba was literally the last opponent Yugi beat before he beat Merrick. So it's just like, these duels are so close to each other if we're talking it canonically. And I believe there's no issue with this movie being placed in the canon of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because they never reference it ever again. It's just a situation that happens that they never really talk about afterwards. So, but I believe that this was definitely it was entertaining, but at the same time I couldn't see it holding up nowadays, unfortunately. Yeah, like I'm glad it got its anime movie theater run, because not a lot of animes get theater runs anymore. Like only a far few in between. I remember me and KG and the others were talking about like the treatment they were giving movies like The Power of Us on Pokemon.
Right.
Yeah, and like other movies. Even I Choose You the year before. So I'm glad that it got its anime theater treatment, but this movie, I will say it's gotten weaker since the times passed, but I wouldn't pass it up. If you were watching, like I said, let me ask this. Would you recommend this movie to someone who's watching the anime, binging the anime? Like if they were watching the anime and just watching it just to watch the anime?
I mean, if you genuinely enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh, yeah, I'd recommend watching it. Yeah.
Now, if you're just watching the anime to get to like the end of it and say you watched it, you can completely skip this movie.
Yeah,
like, there's absolutely no harm. They never even reference it in the Dawn of the Duel saga. You would think they would, though.
Right.
Considering he's Anubis.
Especially because all the parallels.
Yeah. But I believe that this movie needed to, and I think you said this once before, I think the movie needed to elaborate a little bit more on Yugi and Anubis's relationship. Yeah. Like, we could have gotten some flashbacks of, like, some battles in Egypt where he destroyed Anubis a long time ago. And then we can cut to archaeologists discovering the Pyramid of Light or something.
Right.
Or even when little Yugi and the others were inside of the puzzle, they could have, gone through Anubis's past. Because technically they were inside the Pyramid of Light, too. They could have gone through Anubis's brain. And just, like...
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah, and just, like, seen, like, everything he's done and what Yugi did, what Yami Yugi did in order to stop him. I think that would have been some nice lore. But they never touch on it. They're so focused on Yugi versus freaking Kaiba.
Yeah.
That
we gotta sell those cards.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's like it's commercials. It was mostly just selling the Blue Eye Shining Dragon.
Yeah.
And Waterpond. Waterpond made his appearance in this movie, I believe.
I think so.
Like the other Karibo.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that though, so you're saying you would recommend this movie though, right?
Yeah, if you just like the general Yugi, Kaiba duels and stuff. Like you said, if it's more like I just want to see the series, then you don't have to see this from like a plot perspective.
Yeah.
But if you want more of that Yu-Gi-Oh content, you can go watch it.
I mean, well, for the most part, if we're talking just an anime movie in general, this does hit all of its bullet points. Does it earn an A in all of its bullet points? Absolutely not. But it focuses on characters. We have a villain. I think the villain's like its weakest score, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's its weakest. That's where it doesn't hold up as well. But it does have a villain. It's not just Yugi versus Kaiba. We got a plot, a flimsy one, a balsa wood flimsy plot, but we have one.
Yeah.
The conclusion's terrible, I'm not gonna lie. But at this point, the movie's over. And it'd be kind of lame if
get out of the theater.
Yeah, it'd be kind of lame if Anubis's life points went to 0 and they were just like, "All right, guys, go home. Movie's over."
Oh my god!
I could just say it was a theatrical rage quit that Anubis just went through. But I believe that's kind of all I have to say on it. Do you have any closing thoughts before we wrap this up?
Not really closing thoughts, like, overall the movie, but more of a question. Like, I guess this didn't do so well financially, and it actually hit, like, the States before it went in Japan. So, theoretically, if this came out, to kind of copy the Pokemon movie successes, if this did well, what if we got a Yu-Gi-Oh movie every year? Like we do Pokemon?
I would be. I would
you
be.
imagine?
I would be worn out. I would be worn out. I'm actually, like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm glad it bombed. I'm just, I couldn't handle a Yu-Gi-Oh movie every year. That would drive me insane. I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the Yu-Gi-Oh movies we did get, but I couldn't do one every year. Pokemon's already worn me dry on that.
Especially if this is the starting point. I'm like, what happens when the writers get tired and it gets worse?
Oh no, yeah, well, then we'd be getting like, oh, the Egyptians, like, slave number 45 wants revenge on the pharaoh for freaking.
It's just like a 2-mile line of people who want to kick Yuki's ass.
Right, for some shit that the pharaoh did, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it ended here, and we didn't get another movie until, like, I believe the next movie was Bonds Beyond Time, I believe, and I don't know, I'm on the fence whether or not we're gonna talk about it, but so I believe that this movie, like I said, don't take it seriously by any sense of the word. Don't go into it going, I'm ready to watch an intense anime plot movie. Just go into it going, I'm gonna go watch a long episode of Yu-Gi-Oh, because that's what this is. It's 3 episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh glued into one.
So actually, this duel is a lot shorter than some of the ones in the show because it's only 3 parts.
Well, they gotta fill that time gap. They gotta meet that time restraint. But but other than that, I believe we're about done here in terms of tackling the Pyramid of Light movie.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to add, or is that about it?
No, that's about it.
All right, so that movie is down. We have completed the Battle City and the movie, so we can now finally move on to our first major filler arc, where we'll be fighting off against Darts and the Seal of Orichalcos. Ooh. So with that said, thank you, Natalie, for being a part of this video yet again.
Thank you.
All right, and then with that said, it's time to Drew. That is her Twitter. That is her YouTube. Is it your Tumblr?
Yep.
Yeah, it's her Tumblr. If you type that in on any social media website, then I'm sure you're going to find her. So check her stuff out. She makes great tweets. She's got great content. And with that said, everybody, I'll see you all then, everybody. Tyrone the God 3